Time, the one resource you cannot buy more of, but you can begin to design and craft your life in a way that begins to amplify the amount of time available to you in any given day, week, month, or year. And you also have the capabilities to bending and shaping your perception of the passage of time so that you can literally slow down or speed up the ways in which you perceive time. Find out more on today's episode, all about designing and crafting time to work for you. Welcome back to another episode of the Positive Performance Podcast. We're exploring all topics to help you create a more highly optimized, highly balanced, and higher performing way of living. And in today's episode, I'm going to be diving into the topic of time. How you can begin to design and craft your life in a way that literally begins to create more time that's available to you on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. And also the ways in which you can live with a degree of intentionality that begins to alter and shift the rate or speed at which you perceive the passage of time. Because we actually have the ability to slow down or speed up the rate at which we experience the passage of time. So while we all experience time in a linear fashion, the rate or speed at which we perceive that passage of time is something that can be shifted and altered. Think about it. Has there ever been a 30-minute span of time that felt like it went by in the matter of minutes, maybe even seconds? And conversely, has there been a 30-minute period of time that feels like it went by in an hour or maybe even multiple hours? In both of these instances, you experienced a 30-minute passage of time, but your perception of how long that 30 minutes took was drastically different. And this is a phenomenon that we can experience and we can also have an effect on. So you can literally begin to slow down or speed up time. And we'll get into this a little bit more later on. But I really wanted to start today's podcast by talking about designing and crafting our time and the degree of intentionality that we can bring to this process, and the more awareness and understanding that we can begin to bring to this process of crafting our life and designing our life in an intentional way, the more that we're going to find that more time is available to us. And we begin to really understand that time is a tool and an asset. Time doesn't have to be the enemy. We don't have to be up against time. It's something that's an even playing field for everyone. Everyone gets the same amount of allotted time. And it's on us to really begin to understand and articulate to ourselves how we can begin to take this 24 hours and create the most effective, joyful, and balanced usage of this time. So to begin with, it all starts with awareness again. We need to first bring awareness and understanding to where our time is going. Because to make the shifts forward, to begin to optimize, to begin to automate, to begin to systematize our time and our life in a way that's pushing us forward and it's further optimizing our life, we really need to have an understanding of where our time is going. And the further we can drill down on this on a minute-to-minute, day-to-day basis, the more it's going to extrapolate into the weeks, the months, and the years. And again, you're going to literally be creating and finding time to really be diving into the things that you wish to be doing, and ultimately the things that are evolving you into the things that you're looking to be doing. And again, the whole purpose of this is to live a balanced, happy, fulfilling lifestyle that's continuing to evolve you into the vision, the goals, and the dreams that you have for your life. So this isn't about being locked into some cage or becoming a robot, right? Where we're just locked into this monotonous, robotic way of being. This is more so about identifying the things that bring us joy, the things that bring us happiness, the things that bring us balance, and the things that bring us growth. We're identifying these things and we're carefully crafting our life in a way that's actually creating the space for these things to be cultivated on a day-to-day basis. So there's we have this code. I recently went to an event, and this guy, I love the term he used, that we all have this success code. And this success code that we all have is the things that we do in a day that optimize us mentally, physically, emotionally, in our relationships. So basically, this looks like our daily routine, right? This could be reading, this could be meditation, this could be cold water exposure, this could be getting up early, going to the gym, our diet, all of these different things that we can do. And we each have a unique code. So what works for me is going to be different from what works for you, and it's going to be different from what works for the next guy. And this is about really taking the time to really try these different things on, see how it's impacting us, see how it's impacting our energy, and then beginning to make the shifts moving forward. Because this vision we have of ourselves in the future, of this version of ourselves we want to evolve into, our goals, our dreams, our vision, everything that's been created in the mind and exists out in the future requires time and energy to evolve into that and to manifest that into actual reality. So that's why we need to take a hard look into where our time and energy is currently going, so we can begin to continue to understand how to further optimize it and begin to make the shifts from a place of understanding. Because if we don't have the data and the understanding of what's going on now, how can we make the conscious decisions moving forward of where we can begin to make those shifts in our life? And in application, how this whole process started for me was, mine started with a planner. I didn't exactly plan all of my days, but I started my process with getting a planner that had every hour of every day, and I would just simply reflect each day into where my time went in each day. And then at the end of the week, I would really be able to look and see where my time was going. And that really opened up my doors of perception, of understanding of like, oh, I'm saying I want this, but the time I'm dedicating to X, Y, and Z is actually showing something differently. So this is where this plays such a significant role. And it's not to say that we can't have time inside of our schedule and inside of our day to enjoy a movie with family, to play some video games, whatever it is that you need to maybe unwind, feel balanced, spend time with loved ones. Again, this isn't about being hard on ourselves. This isn't about just every single minute of every day, about just learning and growth and development and just moving the needle forward. Because ultimately that's what we want to do. We want to continue to move the needle forward, but it's really more importantly about honing in on the things that you know are fueling your body, your spirit, your soul, your mind. The things that you know when you do them, it's making a better version of you in each moment. It's helping you gain capacity. Because at the end of the day, this is what this is doing. The more that we can tune in and fine tune our life in a way that we're aligned to the things that feel good for us, we're eating in the ways that are good for us, our time is going to the places in which we want to spend our energy, then our capacity begins to increase, our motivation begins to increase, everything that we're capable of begins to compound at an increasing rate, the more that we can really begin to increase our awareness around this. Again, if we have no awareness and our time is just going wherever, then we really are at the whims of our life. And if we're not being that intentional with our time, we find ourselves saying yes to a lot of things. We're not really thinking through each decision. We're not saying no to a lot of things. We're being readily available to a lot of people and that are pulling us in a lot of different directions. Then we're always going to be constantly being pulled, right? We are as available to other people as we set ourselves up to be. So if we don't value our time and we're constantly saying yes and we're not really thinking of the repercussions and we never say no, then other people will shift their lives around the availability that you've made yourself available. You've made the statement, maybe not out loud, that I don't value my time as much. I'm always going to be available. I'll shift and move my things around. And that's not to say that you can't do things for people and shift things around and do favors for people. It's not saying that. But if this is a pattern and energetically you've said, my time isn't of the most importance, people will feel that and they'll use that relationship to be able to manipulate your time into their schedule rather than having a cohesive relationship where the time spent and engaged back and forth is more of a mutual thing. So again, this is so important to really bring awareness, bring to light, bring to understanding that every single second of every day is important. And you don't have to do every single minute of every day. Start with where you're at. Just begin to bring awareness of the activities that you're doing. This could be in a planner. This could be through journaling. This could be pre-planning your week. This could be reflecting on your week. But the more that you can continue to drill down, the more you can begin to make the conscious shifts, the conscious choices moving forward. And again, you're going to create more time in a day. And if you're saying, hey, I don't have the time to create time, I don't have the time to reflect on my time, then you're never going to have the time. You're going to be in a perpetual loop of never having the time. Because if we don't consciously take the time to create, to craft, to understand, to bring awareness to this process, then we're always going to be stuck. Then time's always going to be our enemy. It's always going to feel like we're in this perpetual hamster wheel just spinning around, and time is something that's so elusive to us. But if we spend a little bit of that, it's like making an investment. It's like investing our money in an IRA or the stock market or whatever you want. We need to invest a little time to create more time on the back end. It's an investment. So if we spend a little time, a little extra time to understand where this is all going, and then we can begin to automate, optimize, and systematize. Because now we can look at where our time is going and begin to understand, okay, what are the things that I can automate? What are the things I can outsource? What are the things that I can lump together that maybe a 5-hour chunk of time went down to 2? So now we can begin to look at it. So now we went from awareness, we were aware of, okay, this is where our time is going. Now with that understanding, we can begin to make shifts to now more highly optimize it. Maybe we can move certain things to different days of a week. Maybe we could see certain people that are close to one another rather than splitting up in different days. We can begin to really see our life through a new lens and begin to, again, create more space. Because we can just sit here and say we don't have the time, or we can begin to intentionally live our life and craft our life in a way that builds time. And as I said before, the more we could do this on a day-to-day and an hour-by-hour, minute-to-minute basis, this is going to extrapolate into weeks, months, and years. And this is why certain people in a 24-hour span of time, having 24 hours a day, can run 6 businesses, do TV shows, have families, travel, all these things, but still have that balance. And again, that's the key word here, is balance. You need to look at all the aspects of your life, create that time for your relationships, for your loved one, for your partner, for your family, for your hobbies, for your interests, for your business. This is not about just systematizing and getting hyper-focused on one area. This is about creating a life where we can balance all areas of life and create harmony in the ways in which we go about life. And this is something that's going to continue to just unfold. We don't just hit some point where like, oh, well, that's it. I got my schedule and this is what's perfect for me. Because guess what? You're always changing. The world's always changing. Everything in this world, in this universe at all times is in a state of flux. The economy, the government, your life, your friends, everything is always changing around you. So the minute you feel like you have the most optimized plan, guess what? It's probably going to shift again. So that's why it's important to this is a continual state of evolution. We're continuing to grow and evolve and understand. And as more tools and resources become available to us, especially whatever your take is on it, we have the advent of AI that's completely taken off. And whatever your viewpoint is on it, there are going to be more and more tools that come out to be able to, again, automate, optimize, and systematize some of the things that you're doing. And ultimately, this is about buying our time back. How can we buy more time back so we have more with our loved ones, so we can continue to do things that continue to evolve us into the vision we have for ourselves, for our families, for our future, and for the impact we want to make in the world. So it's an exciting process, and it also involves us taking a hard look at where our time is going. It's not always the easiest thing. I have an app on my phone where I track all day. So when I'm doing an activity, I just click it. I open the app, I click on it, it automatically tracks where my time is going. Let me tell you something. When it says that 6% of life was spent on the couch watching Netflix, you gotta look at that. You got to look at that and say, okay, well, 6% of my life was to Netflix. 4% of my life was dedicated to focused learning this month. So I spent more time on the couch watching TV than I did maybe learning about the certain trade or certain thing that's going to elevate me to that next level. Again, not judging myself. And as I mentioned before, taking the time to unwind, relax, chill out, spend time with loved ones, that's important. But it's important also to have the perspective of where's this broken down into? Okay, I sleep 8 hours a night, right? That's 33%. And then where's that other percentage going? And we can really dig in, see that percentage, see those hours spent. Then we could say, okay, maybe let's make this adjustment. Let's make this shift and see the impact that it has. Again, this isn't from a place of judgment. This isn't from a place where we want to make ourselves feel shame. We just want to become aware. Where is our time going? How is it being spent? And how can we continue to optimize it, systematize it, and have it work for us? Time is not the enemy. It doesn't have to be the enemy. It could be a tool. It could be an asset for us. But it comes through design. It comes through using our life in a way that's going to be optimizing in each moment in each way. And this has completely shifted a lot for me. I used to never take any mind to where my time was going. And just the minute I began to bring awareness to it, it shifted everything. And it really, the process took off on its own. And so this is really unlocks an amazing key for you. And then as far as talking about the passage of time and how we can begin to shift and alter that. And it's shown that time, you ever look back and say, wow, that year that flew by. Where'd all the time go? Well, I remember it was January, now it's December. And the more routine that we experience in our life and we don't have new events, new memories, or differences that show up in our life, then time is going to pass much, much faster. And this is something that we experience a big time in the pandemic, right? Now we were working from home. We weren't going out. We weren't having any experiences. So it was like Groundhog's Day. And when there's not new things being processed, the brain is essentially just skipping on by, and we can look a year, 2 years later, and it feels like it went by in the matter of days or months. So again, this is about breaking up our routine. So I'm talking about creating and intentionally crafting our life, but also having different experiences, having that date night, having that night out with friends, going to a movie, going bowling, whatever it is, not breaking up that monotony as much as we can and really being present in the moment. So another killer of this is really splitting our psyche, right? So we're doing one thing, but we're scrolling on our phone. We're out on a walk, but we're on the phone, or we're texting, or we're checking Instagram. Being really super hyper present really begins to slow time down. So when we're in situations where we really want to savor the moment, we really want to be there, bring that degree of mindfulness, paying attention, close attention. What do we smell? What do we see? What do we hear? What do we feel? What can we taste? When we begin to slow the mind down, we use mindfulness, we get the mind less full, right? We take the things out of the mind and we're really present with our experience. The ways in which we perceive time are going to drastically slow down. We're not looking for that next moment. We're not looking for that next input, the next thing that's going to stimulate us. We're just really, truly being present in the moment. So mindfulness is a powerful way to slow and alter the perception of time. Also, journaling. Journaling is another way, journaling and reflection. And this goes really hand in hand with this crafting of our life and taking the time to not only design life, design our days, but then reflecting. What are the things that we did? How impactful was it? How effective was it? And when we take the time to journal, we're again creating more memories, more reflections. We're highlighting more things that are happening inside of our life. So the more that we make these highlights, the more that we bring up these memories, it feels like a longer time has gone by, and we're going to get less of that feeling of our week just zipping by and there's no recollection of any of it. So the more that we can drum up these memories, reflect on these memories, take the time to reflect on our journey. And then also there's another really awesome benefit of this. We can reflect on our wins. We can reflect on our progress. The more that we reflect on our progress, not only is it going to amplify the experience of time passing by, but it's also going to trigger a response of dopamine and serotonin inside of the brain. This is the chemicals that deal with happiness, that deal with motivation. And it's known now, the more that we give those little wins, the more we can break up our big goals into small incremental progress, the more that we get these hits of dopamine, which then continue to keep us motivated to continue to create more of these little goals that we then achieve and then get further motivated by. It's this amazing feedback loop that we get by creating small, sustainable goals. So these are just a couple of ways, simple ways: mindfulness, meditation, reflection, journaling, a few ways that when put into practice, we can alter the way and literally bend time, slow down time in the way in which we perceive it. And these two things, this really crafting of your day, understanding where your time is going, and then taking these practices to intentionally shift and alter your perception of it, it's a game changer. You can get things done in weeks that take people months. And when you extrapolate that out to a year, to 5 years, to 10 years, with intentionality, understanding and continuing to optimize through systematizing, through optimization, through automation, utilizing these things, utilizing this awareness as your superpower, the things that you can do in a year, 5 and 10 years can be what other people do in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You literally begin to have an uneven playing field against other people when you can begin to intentionally craft and design your life in this way. And again, this isn't about becoming a robot. This isn't something where, oh man, I have to live inside of this framework and it's just this boring, monotonous, robotic way of life. It's the exact opposite. This is a way to liberate yourself. It's identifying the things that make you the most effective, balanced, harmonious human being. It's identifying that, amplifying that, and creating systems that only create more of that in your life. What's the result? More time, more energy, more harmony, more balance, more experiences with loved ones, better relationships. This is what we're going for here. And it all starts with awareness. It all starts with awareness of where your time is, where your time is not, and identifying the things that you want to be doing. Because if you don't make the time for the things that you want to be doing, you're going to be stuck always doing the things that you have to be doing. It takes intentionality. It takes saying no to things. It takes saying yes to things. And I promise you, this topic is a game changer. So again, start where you are. Just start by identifying the things that you're doing in a day, how much time you're spending doing certain things. And from that awareness, begin to just amplify that. Begin to take that data, begin to take that information and make the small shifts so you can create a life that you want to live, and you can create as much time as you want, and understand that time is a tool and an asset for you to use and not something that you need to constantly fight against. Again, this is a topic that has shifted everything in my life. I'm continuing to evolve into this. I'm continuing to amplify the systems I'm using to understand my time management, where it's going. And I can tell you, it has completely shifted everything. And putting these practices into your life, I promise you, can make a massive change. So try it on. Begin to design and craft your life in an intentional way. And I promise you'll see the changes that I've seen as well. So thank you for joining me here today. Time is on your side. Time has the ability to shift, change, and alter depending on you. You have that power. Until the next time, we'll see you on the next episode of the Positive Performance Podcast. Stay growing.